Hey adventurers! Today is a review for Simulated by Nova McBee. This is the second book in the Calculated series, I think is what it's actually called. The first book being Calculated, the second book being Simulated, and the third book not being out yet, and I don't think it's even been titled yet. That's not true. I think it has been titled, but I don't remember what the title is. So, I didn't do a review on the first one because I didn't really have a good way to do it at the time. Now I've kind of stopped doing reviews in that analysis way. I will still be doing those, but it's this review. I can now review books a little bit differently, and so I'm going to be reviewing Simulated like I would most reviews now, rather than analyzing it, which is why I didn't do a review for Calculated. That seems kind of convoluted and probably doesn't make too much sense, but here is my review for Simulated by Nova McBee. This is basically just my thoughts on the book. When I read Calculated, I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't a 5-star read for me by any means, but what I did love about it was the world that it was setting up. I thought it was very, very interesting that the way that the world was being established, that there's these prodigies that are very, very smart, that have these different ways of seeing the world, and I love that. That's kind of what I want to see from a story, is a different way of looking at the world. And so this girl who could look at the world in numbers and in math and calculate everything around her just by seeing it, I love that. It's almost a superpower, but it's not beyond the realm of human possibility. So it's something that I really, really loved. And so I loved the world that was being set up. The story was fine. It was, I think I rated it 3.5 stars or something like that. So it was a solid read, but it wasn't anything that blew my mind away in terms of story. But the ideas behind it were amazing. And so going into Simulated, I was hoping that these ideas would be expounded on, that we'd get a better story, one that was more engaging, and one that I could just overall enjoy more. And we did. Actually, I really, really liked it. I still don't think it's a 5-star. I think it's about a 4-star read for me. So a little bit higher, not perfect, but it's really solid read. Some things that took my enjoyment of it down that we'll get to towards the end, but overall I just really enjoyed it. The story of this one was, I don't know that it was a better story, I just feel like it was better told than Calculated. The writer had advanced in her writing abilities, and so I thought that really came through quite a bit. It was fairly predictable. I think by about a quarter of the way done, I had pretty much predicted how the story would end, but it wasn't done in a bad way. It wasn't like predictable for the sake of being predictable. It was just kind of the obvious way that I saw the story going. I don't know that everybody would, but for me it was kind of what I expected to see from the story, and that's not a bad thing. It's kind of a good thing when you can look at a story and see what's going on with it, and when you can figure out the story before the story completely unfolds. I like that. I don't want it in every book, but I like it in some books, and so I was okay with it in this one. I thought it was well done. Again, the use of mathematics in this one was so cool. Probably my favorite aspect of math that I have ever learned anything about is fractals. Just geometric shapes and designs that are infinite. The closer in you get, the more they keep being exactly the same, keep growing and keep expanding. It's so cool to me, the idea of endless, never-ending, infinite geometric design. It's very, very cool to me, and the ones that I've seen, and the one specifically that was used so much in this one was the Mandelbrot set. Very, very famous fractal that I'll probably put up on screen here for you guys to see, just so you know what you're looking at, what I'm talking about. But it's so cool, and then the way that it was incorporated into this story, the way that fractals were used just to build the world, to flesh out the world in ways that I understand because I've learned about fractals, but to so many people it'll be new information and they'll be like, wow, this is so cool. It just worked really well, and I loved it so much. The things that I really weren't great for me, so the first one is I listened to the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook for Calculated as well, but for Simulated I listened to the audiobook, and while I do think that the narrator is very, very good and fits the voice of the characters very, very well, I don't love it. There's something about it that annoys me. It's not the perfect voice for me to listen to, and so I didn't love that, but I still thought it was really well done in it. So the narration took it down just a little bit, but that was just my personal enjoyment because I was listening to it, not because it was bad by any means. And the other thing that I was a bit annoyed with was this had been marketed as a book with a YA book with a love triangle that was slightly different than your average love triangle that you see in Hunger Games or whatever other story there might be. And so I was going into it hoping that it would, well, hoping first off that there wouldn't be a love triangle in it, and once it became clear that yeah, there is a love triangle in it, still hoping that it would be done differently in some way so that it wasn't just your average love triangle. And it annoyed me. I don't like love triangles. They don't work. They don't tend to work for me, and I don't feel like this one was done particularly differently. So I don't know. It didn't quite work for me. But other than the narration and the love triangle, I really don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't have bad things to say about those. Those are just things that didn't work for me personally. The story isn't as mind-blowingly spectacular as some that I've read, but I thought it was really well done still, and I thought it was good, so I have no issue with that. But other than that, it was a really enjoyable story, and I think I enjoyed it quite a bit more than the first. I did rate it 4 stars rather than 3.5 or whatever I rated the first one. I don't know if I actually ever gave that one a rating. But the other thing that I can already see and that I liked seeing, I didn't notice it instantly when it first popped up in the book, but then I was thinking about it a little bit later. I was like, whoa, that's set up for the third one. So they've already set up, Nova McBee has already set up for the third book in the series, and I thought it was really well done, and I'm very excited to see where they go with it. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think it'll be, I'm excited to continue on with the series. I'm definitely going to be reading the third book. Hopefully it just keeps continuing to get better and better. So that's my thoughts, my review for Simulated by Nova McBee. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching an Erudite adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. We have our social medias linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.